red tape. We got a microphone in the podium. We can't use it to the council. We out here, it's free. So if we got a platform that got to go through this kind of stuff, we can imagine what y'all are going through, trying to get a house, a job, a place to stay, trying to get Social Security, trying to get food stamps, all this kind of stuff. We got to go through all these changes. So we're here because of that to say we need to focus attention on why we're being treated or being ignored or disregarded. So we open up with my good friend. That's right. Reverend Willie Wilson. Come on, man.
Amen. Let us bow with prayer. Tell God we're grateful. Thank you for this day, brand new day, unused, pregnant with possibilities, with positive actions. We pray now that as we come together collectively, that you would guide us, direct us, inspire us to make a difference among our returning citizens who have given of themselves over the years. In many instances, we pray, God, that you would bless this coming together, this rally today.
Yes,
that
right.
you would be in the midst of us.
Yes.
We might be strong.
Yes.
Committed and dedicated to making a
Yes.
difference. Because the Bible reminds us that
Yes.
to be first of all, we must be concerned
Yeah.
about the least of all. And it is that spirit that we come today.
That's right.
On this steps of the district building.
That's
To sound our voices in one plain voice.
That's right.
To make a difference.
That's
right. Amen.
We can turn it over to Kevin Kennedy. He's one of the coordinators. He, Tyrone Parker, Janice Patterson, my wife Gertie, and a few others who helping us pull this together. So Kevin is going to kick it off. Kevin Kennedy.
So I'm so glad to see so many come out today. We hope all coming down here for this is really an urgent issue for us. It's for returning citizens. We actually come out and recognize us. I'm a returning citizen. I served 32 years in the prison system. Been out 13 years. Decided to come back to my community and do one. The past 6 years I've been running my own transition facilities for other returning citizens coming out to do what we do. So this is about grassroots work. I don't have government contracts and all the rest of that kind of stuff. This is about grassroots work and doing what we have to do. Somehow, 50 years after the signing of those civil rights laws have passed, 50 years, almost 50 years a week to the day, we're standing on the steps of this government facility asking for the same thing. The same exact thing to give us an opportunity to grow like everybody else. Yes, we're asking for help for our returning citizens, especially those that are coming out and the seniors. But guess what? 95% of every returning citizen that come out of the prison system has to come home to a poor and underserved family. 95%. And guess what's happening to the poor and underserved families here in Washington, D.C.? It's being crushed because of housing insecurity and no access to jobs. New York has just declared an emergency. LA has just declared an emergency. Chicago's going to do it before the week is out. All of it about housing insecurity. So we want to ask the government today, let's target about 3,000 units for poor and underserved folks in Washington, D.C. That's going to help the returning citizen population and everybody else. Let's target poor and underserved families right now today with 3,000 units for 2023. Let's take the housing vouchers up to about 2,000 units, 2,000 copies. And what we need to do, let's take it a step further. Let's take it a step further.
That's right.
After we build those 3,000 units, let's earmark those 3,000 units after 24 months and turn them into condominiums. Now we're pulling people out of poverty.
That's right.
Now we're pulling people out off of government assistance.
That's right.
Okay, and we're bringing people into independence. Okay, and so and we can do that.
That's right.
And we're asking the government, we don't need your big developments to do that. Let us do it. We will build it.
That's right.
We will run it. We will manage it.
Come on.
We will do the whole entire thing.
Come on. That's right.
Let us build all 3,000 units.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
we'll take care of our people ourselves.
That's right.
Okay? We won't have to play this gentrification game with nobody no more. Okay, our people are dying.
That's right.
Our people are dying.
That's right.
They're in my house right now. Okay, some of them are in my house right now. Okay, they're dying. Okay, because we're looking past them and government officials are playing games. Okay, playing games and getting rich off of these developers here in Washington, D.C.
That's right.
Let's take it 50 years later. Lyndon Johnson said, his was on December 12th, 1972. Lyndon Johnson said, white America is going to have to understand that we are not going to prosper unless we bring black folks along into prosperity. That's 50 years ago. We standing here asking for that same thing? That's ridiculous.
That's right.
And now we're at a time where housing insecurity is creating the problem that it's creating, okay? It's imperative for us to do what we have to do. And that's why we're coming here asking the government, let's pull your table out, let us get around that table, and let's negotiate what we're going to do for 2023. We're going to change the trajectory now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Let me, I think it's one thing we know that there is the need, but I want to talk for a moment about the responsibility and the duty of a government which has historically, for over 400 years, used free labor and used it by creating criminal activity by the government in order to make that manifest. I wish we could see the Capitol from here, because if we could see the Capitol, we could see the dome on top of that Capitol that was put there by a slave from South Carolina by the name of Philip Reed. He sculpted it in Europe, brought it to America, and they couldn't even get it out of the crate. And neither could they get it up. It's the helmet of a Roman soldier. That dome on top of the Capitol is a helmet of a Roman soldier. They originally wanted to do a slave with shackles broken. But Thomas Jefferson and others said, no, we can't do that, because we're going to keep on enslaving these people and creating crime in order for them to be in an impoverished situation where they are forced to commit crime and then pass laws to lock them up so that we can have free labor. So that started, if you look at the Capitol and the White House, built by free labor, by slaves who brought the stones from the quarry out of Virginia. And then Philip Reed put that dome on top. Then when they outlawed slavery with the 13th Amendment, that 13th Amendment said, except for committing a crime, which opened the door to continue enslaving black men in order to build this country. So then they went from that to the Black Code. The Black Codes were so vicious, they did that for about 3 years. They said, no, you can't do that no more. Then they went from Black Codes to 90 years of sharecropping, from 1865 to 90 years later. Then they went from sharecropping to criminal leasing from 1928 to 1955, another 104 years. That was so wicked that in 1941, they established the Federal Bureau of Prisons. And established the Federal Bureau of Prisons, they said, this is so wicked, what we are doing to black men and to enslaved people by using crime to enslave them, that we have to make it a little easier. But so through criminal leasing, this is how U.S. Steel and American Steel and all those companies were built. They were built with free labor of black men who, for any reason, locked up for standing on the corner, locked up for not standing on the corner, locked up for having money in your pocket, locked up for not having money in your pocket. For any reason, they were incarcerated. So we're talking about the entire history of this country. So we look now at the Federal Bureau of Prisons. 40 45% of the paint that's made to paint people's houses, made in federal prisons. Computers and phones made in federal prisons. License plates made in federal prisons. Parts for computers made in federal prisons. And the list goes on and on. Furniture for office buildings made in federal prisons. All of this being done with free labor. And so it's not just a need, it's something that is owed to all who have been incarcerated for all these number of years, who have given slave labor and then come back out in the community and try to reestablish themselves and don't even have a roof under which to lay down and to have the common amenities that every citizen of this country should have. So we say today, not just because of the need, but because every one of these men standing behind me and out here today are owed because of the slave labor that they have given to this country, that built this country and made it what it is today.
Thanks a lot, Reverend Willie Wilson. I know you're in charge.
Housing now.
Now we're going to have a young lady who has quite a history. She's one of us too. And man, she got a powerful message. It's Carmen Johnson.
Peace, everybody. Love, everybody. And I'm sad now to see as many women out here to help support. And what I want to say today is not only do we need housing as impacted people, we need love. I'm sick of going to organizations that's supposed to represent us. They snarl at us, they look down on us, and that's not fair and that's not cool. Because you don't know your story, my story, you don't know that. And so for us to be enslaved, whether it's 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, and to come home to have nothing is disgusting. I couldn't even get my SSDI that I worked for years on because I am considered as a felon. I could not get housing. They wanted to put me in a transitional house. Well, hell, I was with women for 3 years. I didn't want to be in a transitional house. Thank God I had my family to support me. Thank God I have my community, which is you guys, to support me. We have to support one another.
That's right.
We have to stand together.
That's
It should
right.
be more of us out here than what I see today. We are standing here fighting for all of us that have been through this system, this disgusting system. And let me not mention the innocent people that are behind the wall. Whether we did it or not, we have an experience. We have suffered behind that wall. They say, oh, Brittany is over in Russia in a jail. Have anyone seen an American jail? What that looks like, what they take us through. We suffer in there. In the women's jails, we are sexually abused. We are physically abused. Don't nobody talk about that. They expect us to come home and be mothers. They expect us to come home and be wives. They expect us to come home and want to be touched. I didn't want to be touched when I came home. I wanted help. I kept asking for help. No one knew what to do with me. Oh, she's a doctor. Oh, she's a this. They didn't know what to do with me. First of all, the fucking government threw me in jail innocently. You know what you did to me. I will never forget it, but I forgive you. But in the same token, you are going to take care of me and my people. My people are you that's standing here. My people that are behind the wall. My people that are coming home. My people that are fighting to not go behind the wall. Some shit needs to change. It needs to change now. Mental health is real. We come home and we are beaten down. Our integrity is taken. We are fucked up and no one cares. You expect us to go and get a job. As soon as you get out, we don't even know what, we've been in jail and technology done changed. I didn't even know what Google Doc was. I didn't know what Uber was. I was only gone for 3 years. And I suffered. And I thank the universe for the strength that my brothers and sisters that you have spent 10 years, 15 15 years, 30 years. I respect you. I salute every last one of you because I know what it feels like to be a slave. I know what it feels like to be shackled from my ankles to my waist. I know what it feels like to be beat down by white racist guards. I didn't ask to go to jail. I didn't ask to be beat. I didn't ask for any of that. I asked for love. Do anybody ask me, how do I feel? No, they just look at me, oh, you a doctor. No, I'm suffering. Mental health is real. I am suffering. My people, my community are returning citizens. We are suffering. Peace, love, and unity.
That's Dr. Karen Johnson. She did 3 years in the federal system. She also has a program in Maryland called Court Watch, where they go in and sit in the courts and look and watch and observe how we're being treated or not being treated. This lady came out, hit the ground running. A lot of you came out, hit the ground.
Yes, sir.
We shouldn't even be here, man.
Yes, sir.
We're American citizens.
That's right.
They call us a citizen. We ain't a citizen in the street. We can't get a job. We can't get employment. You got your lease. One of the things we've been talking about is we need help. Help us to help us. How many of y'all need a home?
Yeah.
How many need a home? How many need a home? How many need a home? How many need a home?
Yeah.
What about a job? What about a job? What about a job? We need everything. So now we can show up. We just got a phone call that Johnny Gill, the entertainer from the Grammy Award winner from Washington, will call in at 11:45 to speak. We got 2 guys from the Redskins going to call in to participate because all of the football players, most of them, got a friend, family, or brother, somebody in prison. That place supposed to be packed. And all the guys will come up to us later and say, I need this, I need that, but you didn't show up for this. We need people to show up. Your voice got to be in the place. This lady just gave her heart out. She hurt. All of y'all are hurt. I can walk through this crowd and I can feel a little thump. I can feel pain. I can sense what y'all feel. We're tired of being hurt, man. God damn. In the joint. One of the things you do in the joint, and one thing I love about all you guys that have been in the field, we got a code that don't nobody else have. When you go to the fairs, you from D.C., somebody can say it's the D.C. homie in R&D.
That's right.
When you get down there, there's a bag, there's some goodies, there's some soap, toothpaste, and they'll tell you, you sit with us, you eat with us, because the racism in prison is 10 times harder. All the whites all together, the Aryan Brotherhoods, the Spanish, the Africans, everybody got their own crew. But a D.C. guy will fight. I had 10 years, was going home in 90 days and got into a fight in Lewisburg. And the word got out in the prison that I'm fighting the Spanish guy. I looked up, 20 D.C. guys came through the elevator with shanks. I said, stop. I'm going home in 2 weeks. Don't kill him. I want to go home. They going to kill him. So we got that kind of camaraderie and brotherhood. Why don't we use it out here? Why don't we come together out here? We can turn it over. Tyrone want to share some words. My partner, good friend, Tyrone Crawford.
God did it! God did it! Let's make it.
We was here 25 years ago, fighting for the same thing, jobs, housing, to be looked at as a human being. I remember Courtney Stewart began to create his program, Reentry Network, that made a difference. Malik Farrakhan, that created his program, Peace of Holly. We got Brenda Jones out here that have always made a commitment to our population. We've got so many here. The most discriminated person in this world is a black man.
That's right.
But even more discriminated than a black man is a black man with no job.
Come on.
And more discriminated than a black man with no job is a black man with no job and an ex-offender. We can't even help our own family. We can't even give them and be the man that we need to be. Our women are in need of us. Our men are each other. We got to begin to understand the challenges that we've been confronted with as a whole. If it takes for us to come back, there should be dignitaries. There should be this congressperson, the city council. There should be the mayor. There should be individuals that would come out and be able to say, I will meet your needs. Because we are here. At this point, they are not here. And they are not here because they don't see the numbers and the impact of who we are. When the District of Columbia was considered to be the murder capital of the USA, when a number of returning citizens got together and began to go into our communities to make a difference, we were able to bring our numbers down from 484 homicides in the year 1991 to 88 in 2012. We changed this place from the murder capital of the USA to the 8th best place in the country to live in. We brought in billions of dollars in tax revenue. The mayor got more land than Marienburg had in the contents of tax revenue. Marienburg did more with the spirit of it. But we, the returning citizens, helped to transform this. We have the capabilities to be able to come together and be had. We are an institution that has value.
Yes.
Nobody can do the work like we can in our communities. We come with a redemption spirit to be able to help our people. We need to be heard.
That's right.
We need jobs. We need the dignity that we have earned.
That's right.
We have earned this, y'all.
That's right.
As I look around, I see the spirit of all who have did time. And we got some white folks out here. Tyra, who runs Free Mind.
Yes.
That is one of the greatest commitments that is in this city. They are in 65 different prisons around this country, writing to the young brothers, reading to the young brothers. They show up. How many are here for Free Mind? Let me see your spirit up. Yeah, that's the spirit of this. So I end in mind, and I say this. To God be the glory.
God be the glory.
That we will make a transformation. We will love each other. We will understand the power of our tongue, because we know there's 3 laws. The law of Newton, what goes up must come down. The law of gravity, for every action there's a reaction. And the law of black folks, when go around, come around.
Yeah.
We will watch the power of our tongue. Thank you so much for your
We're so grateful for our warriors like Tyrone Parker that have been doing it for us for a long time. I mean, I stood behind these brothers from down in Lawton back in the 80s and 90s while they was doing great work out here in the community. We want to bring on some young brothers that can speak, that we need to have a say-so here today.
Yeah.
But before I bring them on, I want to paint a picture for you. Most of this mental health challenges and stuff is starting from the lack of affordable housing. I just saw one of them over in Virginia, right? On Route 1. It was a big giant structure that held about 300 to 500 units in it. On the bottom of it was grocery stores, urgent care centers, daycares, all the things that people need in that one little space. Again, we here in DC have always been in position to be better than what everybody else is going through, right? In fact, it's easier to do it here because the mayor is also the governor. The city council is also the state house. So we can have this conversation with our government at one table and make it work, right? So we want to bring on some of these younger guys who are doing great things. As Tyrone said, Free Minds is doing great things, 60-something prisons, doing a great job out here in the community, helping these young men focus themselves and rise up. We'll bring Maurice on to have something to say.
Hey. Okay, Maurice. Go, Maurice.
Hey, for every working class, law-abiding citizen gets up every day, go to work, pay the bill, break no law. For some reason, you don't think you can end up in jail. You don't think that you can get up today, going to work, and go to prison. Prison is filled with so many innocent people.
That's right.
Not only do we have a lot of innocent people in prison, but we have a lot of kids in prison who are being raised by the system.
Yeah, there you go.
When they come back out here into society, they don't have the tools to function in society. It's a revolving door. It leads them into a direction of survival mode with what they know, but they come from the slums. So what's in their communities, right? A lot of these people who lost their jobs, convicted, they coming home to nothing. Remember, this was your aunt, your mother, your sister, your brother.
Come on.
The innocent people that work every day that's home now, they can't get a place to stay. You fought all of these years for your innocence to get out of jail, and now you're homeless, right? And you're expected to behave and act accordingly, right? Go find a job. Where I'm gonna sleep tonight. We have a lot of the youth that's coming back out here, and the classes that they're being taught in there to make them survive out here are things that's making them fail. You know, they coming back out here, and it doesn't help. We have to break the chain of dysfunctional families. You know, we have to stop blaming our own when we can do something about it. You know, people coming home and need a place to stay, that's serious. That's something that we need to think about. You got kids that went in at 16, he coming home at 40, his family dead.
Yeah.
He don't have a home. He don't have job training skills because they didn't offer that in there. All he did was clean the shower or, you know, wiped off a water fountain or something, right? You have to think about this because, you know, one day it could be you.
That's right.
And that's just real talk.
That's right.
How everybody feeling this morning, man? You know, it's cold, but man, we heated by this passion to get something done. I just finished serving 25 and a half years straight in prison. I came when I was 21. I did my crime. I ain't had no understanding what I was doing at the time, but I took that time inside to educate myself and to benefit myself so when I come out here, I can give back to the community that I hurt. When I come home, and 12 days out, I was homeless. Fortunately, I was able to get some mercy housing. I spent 2 months in a hotel room. You know the high price of food, so I was sometimes not even able to eat, not even able to sleep comfortably, thinking that the next day they was gonna tell me I had to leave. Family members, I'm like a stranger to them. I'm a voice over the phone. I got family members that was 3 years old when I came in, and they give me a place to stay for 3 days, and then tell me I can't do it no more.
Come on.
Kids scared of us. They say we talk too loud. Come on. But when in prison, everybody talk loud, so you gotta yell.
That's right.
It's difficult. Now you're telling me to find a job. You want me to come home and immediately find employment when I don't even know how to deal and act around people yet.
Come on, brother.
It is very important, people, that we get some type of housing so we can have some stability. How can we start changing things if we don't have a foundation? If we don't have a bed to rest in?
Come on.
I got an air mattress with a hole on it. I put duct tape on it every night.
Woo!
I wake up, I'm on the floor because all the air that came out. But I still get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and pray to my Lord.
That's right. Oh.
See, this thing is serious. And only people that gotta recognize is the ones that been through it.
Come on, brother.
You know, we gotta cross that barrier where the people who don't have the experience can still understand. And that takes education. That takes dedication. And that takes a mentality that they gonna hear us. It is important because I want to give back. I see these kids out here. They're lost. I was once lost. Didn't have a clue. You couldn't tell me nothing. Survival mode. I'd do anything to make it. Everything was an opportunity. I'd hurt anybody. I'd take out my mother's pocketbook. I'd lie. I'd steal. I needed present.
That's right.
But when I went in there, I read. I read. I learned the insignificance of my little self.
That's right.
Of the block or the apartment building or the corner that I was representing compared to the rest of humanity. I learned how to be a human.
That's right.
And when I learn how to be a human, I come home and you tell me I ain't got nowhere to stay. Woo! You tell me my people ain't got nowhere to stay? Come on. I love my people. I love this city. And all the damage I've done to it, man, I'm trying to repair.
That's right.
So give me something solid to
Come
stand
on,
on.
man. Come on.
Give me something
Come on,
that
brother.
I can build off of.
That's right.
I'm not looking for a handout, I'm looking for a hand up.
That's right.
I'ma do it.
That's right.
We gonna do it.
That's right.
My brothers that was here with me, we gonna do it.
We can do this.
We ain't ask for nobody to do nothing for us. We not looking for somebody to drop out the sky and say he's the Messiah, he gonna make it all better. We gotta make it better.
That's right.
Our environment is our environment.
That's right.
We have to impact it.
That's
If
right.
we're not impacting our environment, then we are not a factor. If you're not a solution, then you're definitely a problem.
That's right.
And this goes for our women as well. Because we have harmed our women for decades. For decades. And you come home and they worried that you're gonna do the same thing and you leave them again. They done struggled with us when we was in, sent us money, took care of us, nurtured us, supported us. My mentality has changed.
That's right.
I put myself to the side for my others, man.
That's right.
That's what's needed. And houses needed so I can have somewhere to start from. It's important. I think the mayor's doing a wonderful job. I honestly do. I read the papers when I was in. I think the DC Council's doing a wonderful job. It's more needed. It's more needed. Give us something to stand on, man, and watch how we shake this joint up, man.
We'll do it, bro.
Watch how we shake this joint up.
That's right.
We're gonna get them off the corners, man, and show them it's something a better life.
That's right.
You know? That's all I got to say, man. I appreciate it. I'm humbled by being allowed to speak today.
That's right. That brother's passion. Spirit. That brother's commitment of what he done went through. He's bringing it here to us.
We can bring you on a guy we've been known for 50 years. His name is Charlie Sullivan. He and his wife, she was a priest. His wife was a nun. He was a priest. And he got married, left the church, left Texas.
Well, I didn't leave the church.
Well, y'all know it.
I wanted to say this for a long time because it's very appropriate. Merry Christmas.
I'm only right one day a year. Thank you.
I just want to say it's wonderful being here. My wife and I have been involved in prison reform starting in Texas 50 years ago. So I'm not one of the youngsters that should be up here. I'm 82, still going, we're still going at it, doing our national or international newsletter. But I just want to share one thought with you. We have the eight, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 richest counties surrounding DC. Why doesn't their work release? That's what I want to know. Why don't we make the old jail a work release center and have people come back from the federal system, be in work release? We have a wonderful mass transit system. We now have a very sympathetic governor of Maryland who would support work release in those suburbs. And so people coming back, they should be able to be open for people coming back, returning citizens, and being able to hire them and pay good wages. So think about it, and again, thank you, Rose, for all you've done over the years and continue to do.
That's right.
Woo!
Thank you, Charlie.
How y'all doing? So,
He should have been out here.
go on without it. I'm a returning citizen. I just came home in May. I've been doing 27 years. So, like, since when it been cool for people? It's a shame that we out here asking about having a home to live in. Since when it been cool? The streets wasn't made for a person to live on. They just wasn't made for that. So I'm saying, like, and contrary to popular belief, because you've been incarcerated or you a felon, this don't make you the worst person in the world. It don't mean you can never evolve and change and rehabilitate yourself. So some of these people that they claim to be the worst people ever, they up here. They have exceeded expectations. They have degrees. They have everything people have that's not a felon, that's never been locked up before. They have surpassed even those people. And so don't believe what they tell you about because a person is a felon that he's the worst person in the world. He's not employable. He's nothing. He's the lowest of the scum on the earth. These people have changed. People change. People evolve. Some of these people you don't even recognize them for who they used to be. That's right. Some of these people inspire some of these great minds that you look up to and you admire. Some of them inspired them to be who they became today. The reason they ain't become that because they made mistakes. But at some point, these people do get it right. They get it right. And all they need is a chance. But because you catch a charge or something like that, they like, nah, you don't deserve a chance, you don't deserve nothing. Where's the fairness in this? Where's the reason and logic in that? People change. It's just that simple. And when a person changes, you have to let him become who he's changed to be. That's all I want to say.
System is present.
You heard from a couple of Free Mind, the book club with Tara. Now we have a gentleman who you see on TV and who's been fighting down for some time. Reverend Braylon Haddock.
Hey!
Come on up.
After Reverend Willie Wilson, that's my bishop. He taught me a whole lot about standing up for justice. And that's why it's so good that we're here, even though it's cold, because we're standing up for justice, for what's right. We're standing up for what's right and what's just. You know, it says somewhere in the scripture, it says, when I was in prison, you visited me.
That's right.
And they said, well, when did we do that? And he said, if you did it to the least of these,
That's right.
you did it to me.
Yeah.
And the fact is, that's a measurement of the care or the lack of care of a society.
That's right.
If a society doesn't provide housing as a right,
That's right.
if a society doesn't supply education as a right,
That's right.
if a society doesn't supply health care as a right, then it's no society at all. In fact, it's a criminal enterprise that tries to exclude people who need to be included. Now, you know, all of us, most of us, got family members who've been incarcerated. When I was born, my daddy was in the Jessup's House of Correction. And I remember about 7 years old when he came home. If it wasn't for my mother, he would have had no place to go. He ended up finally getting a job in a strip club on the block in Baltimore. And that's where I used to go after school, to sleep down there in the storeroom because he needed a job. But what I'm saying is that incarceration has affected our community.
That's right.
And therefore, we need to push for the solutions so that people can be fully restored.
That's right.
And what does it mean to be fully restored? You gotta have a place to live. What does it mean to be fully restored? You gotta have training and decent and adequate employment.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be restored? You gotta have health care. What does it mean to be restored? You got to become part of the community, and the community has got to respect you. One thing that we realize is that since this issue of mass incarceration has been so pervasive in the black community, none of us are exempt from the issues that are before us. No family is exempt. No mother, no father, no sister, and no brother. And nobody should be on the streets. And nobody should be left alone. And nobody should be deserted. Because we stand as one community, one people fighting for dignity, rights, and justice. Thank you so much.
That's been Reverend Graylin Hagler. He's been on strong support of our cause for years. The people we're bringing up are folks, we've been doing this for 20, 30, 40, and yes, 50 years we've been doing this. And still the same issues. Right now, we're lucky enough to have City Councilman Robert White, who is fortunate to be working with us and make sure we work through all the snafus and bugs to bring you the show. So he's been supportive of our issues and one of our biggest champions in the City Council, Councilmember Robert White.
Good morning. So a few years before I joined the council, I was a young lawyer working on Capitol Hill for Congresswoman Norton, and my brother was coming home from Petersburg. They allowed him to leave Hope Village, what we call Hopeless Village, to stay with me. And we were heading to the Safeway on Alabama one evening to get groceries. And I got into the car, my brother saw somebody new, and when he got to the car, I asked him, who was that? How do you know him? He said he was in Petersburg with me. I asked my brother, I said, oh, where's he staying? He said, at the shelter. Like, damn, you know, that hit my heart. And what I learned from that conversation was how prevalent that brother's story is. How many people leave incarceration in Washington, D.C., come back, go to the halfway house, or these days don't go to the halfway house, and end up in the shelter.
Yeah, too many, too many.
Way too many. So when I got to the council, I knew I had an obligation to help folks, but I also know that I don't need to speak for folks or set an agenda for folks who know how to speak for and set an agenda for themselves. So I reached out to a community of returned citizens and said, what are the first things we need to do? They said, we need free IDs, we need free bus fare, we need to expand the mayor's office of returning citizens affairs. So we got to work doing that, listening to people. Then they said we want brothers and sisters who are incarcerated to be able to vote. So we went out and did that. They said we need to be able to get jobs, so we helped fund a program that allows returning citizens to go to Georgetown University to become paralegals. So we got that done. We got that funding done. All these ideas, I want to be clear, didn't come from me. These ideas came from people who have been incarcerated. So I'm only one piece of this. We've got to listen to people. When they say there's a problem with people coming out and not having housing, there's a problem with people coming back that want to work, that want to provide for their families, and they can't find it. We have to listen long enough to know that there's a problem. But once we recognize that there's a problem, we've got to be working toward a solution. That's what we're here today for, working towards solutions. So we have some housing vouchers, we have some housing opportunities, we have some employment opportunities, but too little to meet the need. And we're finding too many people unnecessarily going back into incarceration, going into shelters that just falling flat when they didn't deserve to. So when folks say, look, we need help just getting a chance, our job is to help them get a chance. So Brother Roach, thank you for being the leader that you are. I promise you I'm going to keep doing my part. I'm going to keep listening. I'm going to keep acting. But we've got to address the lack of housing, the lack of jobs for incarcerated, formerly incarcerated people. And we've got to put our money where our mouth is as a city.
Thank you. All right. That's what we want to hear.
Now we got a special guest.
That's what we want to see happen.
Brother Earl Coleman Bay. He did over 4 decades, over 45 years in prison. And he did this. And he raised 5 kids while he was incarcerated using the prison telephone. And he called 3-4 times a week and stayed in touch with his family, his sons. And it's hard to maintain a relationship with your family while you're incarcerated. He did it for 40-some years. And he's here with us. Good morning, Brother Earl Coleman Bay.
Hey, look. I've been standing here, freezing. I just had a triple bypass operation the last 35 days, and I got to get out this weather, but I want to say this. I'm not going to talk about the prison and all that, I want to talk about what needs to be done. I heard somebody say something about the solution. Okay, my ideal is this. All these people have been out there 20, 30 years and working these programs and all this. Why don't y'all formulate a committee as a unit team? Because what the prison is geared for us when they let us out for reentry. You talk about reentry, it's geared for us because they don't do the proper things. And you need mental health and everything. Person been, I don't care if he's been in jail 30 days. He needs mental health. All this kind of stuff. Right. You should have somebody to do. See me, I was fortunate because Allah blessed me, oh God, whatever your religious preference or how you see it, but there ain't but one, so we're going to keep it real. So this, all I'm saying is this. All you brothers that know people that got committees, that know the mayor, know all that the Councilor White here, man, formulate a committee with all these brothers that's really trying to help, because I'm going to tell you something. You got people that come from different geographic locations to come to Washington. Man, they can get bank loans, they can build them land and the earth and all. They don't have no problem. And it's not so much as on the so-called black, Negro, and colored people. It's on the Dred Scott said, if you say you're black, you ain't got nothing coming. That's what they're dealing with. So that's right. So what I'm saying is you really want to help all these guys that got these ideas and got programs. Man, try to get that building over there be good enough because you got that many people in prison that's coming out. Get a big area and have it and stop playing games, man. I still don't have my benefits. I done been personally with my wife and everything else, man, to try to get benefits, man, and they say they're going to start it. They tell me that for 3 months. I haven't got them yet, but it's all right. Because I got a lot of people that love me, man, and I discovered every week they make sure I pay my rent and stuff. Because I ain't going to live above my means, same way I did in prison. But that's what I'm saying. That's what we need to do, man. It ain't got about being about no whole lot of talk. But we need all these people. We need a place where we can meet and we can talk for real, not just a conversation, and take it to the man. Peace. All right. All right.
We got, of course, we got somebody here everybody knows. Okay. All right, you get the next. We got some more. We got a gentleman whose name everybody knows, who's on TV, radio, and every time you turn around, he's pushing the cause for the returning citizens. And none other than Al Malik Farrakhan. You want to come on up here, Al, and say a few words with Al? Come on up here, Turkey.
With the turkey hat on.
what Rhodes said. Keep it brief. Right? 1995, right here, we had the largest number of convicts that came out. Right here in this building. We never had that number again. Right? What I want to say is this, man, and I want to, Brother Earl, I love you, but I want to take it a little further. We need to form a commission.
Yeah.
A commission of men. Where we come from, you understand the language of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We keep depending too much on government. That's why we ain't doing and going nowhere. Yes, government will play a part, but we lay our commission down, put a foundation up under us what we don't have. When I said 1995, I said if Murray ain't with us no more. I said that if Vernon Hawkins wasn't with us no more, we're ass out. And we've been ass out. Peace and love to everybody. A commission we need, man.
Hey, just let me share this up. The reason why we're here, we're not here protesting the mayor. We're here to highlight the problems or the lack of problems that we're not receiving services and programs for those men and women. And what Al Malik said and a couple other folks, we're talking about economic development. We want some of the city contracts. We want to make sure we get 300 vouchers. We can provide 1,000 affordable housing and 1,000 jobs. It's 3,000. If we can get the right support from the city council and the government. We need Amazon, Walmart, Lowe's, all of the big people. Wells Fargo committed $2.5 billion 3 years ago to improve the programs in Washington, D.C. $2.5 billion from Wells Fargo. And we haven't heard from Wells Fargo yet. We need the business community, the religious community, everybody to come. This is all hands. We're talking about saving lives. We can stop the killing and reduce the killing. We got all these men and women. These is our cavalry. We just don't have the horses or the resources. But we can come and reduce some of this problem. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that it's not a protest. We're talking about a rally to show that highlight what's not being done for our men and women in the streets. And now I'd like to bring up council member from PG County, Calvin Hawkins. And believe this, he was one of our returning citizens. Calvin Hawkins. They're writing tickets on all the cars right there. So you got a car, you know, you need to move your car. They're writing tickets. Put a ticket on it, Councilman Calvin Hawkins. And
No, I understand that.
This guy made some tremendous progress. The lead from Horton and now leading the PG County City Council, Calvin Hawkins.
Thank you, Roach, for this opportunity. A couple of weeks ago in Prince George's County, we had our swearing in of new council members, re-elected council members. And as the former chair of the council, I had an opportunity to speak. And I spoke about returning citizens and the importance of what we do. Today we're out here asking for empathy for what we're trying to do. But in 2 years, there's another election, not just here in the District of Columbia, but throughout this region. We come here to organize and speak on the concerns we have. But my friends, I share with you the most important thing you can do, Roach, is organize the people who are empathetic to what we're talking about, because votes talk. And I'm going to end with this. I came over to the District of Columbia not to try to tell my good friend and brother, Robert White, what the city council should be doing. But as a native Washingtonian, I'm here to say what you all do over here, Councilmember White, I'm going to continue to lead in Prince George's, and some of the concerns you all have, you will see in legislation that I'm putting forward. And I would love to see many of you come out there today. We have our bills. And Reverend Elwood Gray, thank you for all you did while I was in Lorton to make me a better person. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Now we got a young man who's been championing the cause for some time. His name is Tony Lewis. His father has life without parole. And Tony has been fighting his cause. And this is one of the few relationships where you see the son and the father are that close. And even though he's been gone over 30 years, he's this close and tight with his father. He maintained that relationship. And as all of you know, it's hard to stay connected to your family. I got 3 sons and I don't get along with them. We ain't been able to patch up our things yet. And I'm still trying, but I got hope in my heart that one day, so all of you know that it's hard to reconnect with a family when you come out of prison. When you go on 15, 20, 30 years, and when you hear Brother Coleman Bay did 45, 46 years, and his family is like this. He used the prison phone 3-4 times a week and did his kids' homework, studied with them, deal with all their problems. He maintained a strong relationship. And one of the things we're asking, that all phone calls from all prisons and jails should be free. I don't care, it should be free. All phones, all contracts for prison phones is an exclusivity. All the prisons give these companies the right to run the phone, and they get a kickback. And the kickback goes to the guards unions. And they hire their sons and kids for baseball and softball teams. Our pain is somebody else's gain. We want a percentage of that $50 million that's made from prison phone calls should go into an inmate fund, that we get a small loan, a micro loan or grant to come out of prison. You can't come out here for 30 years and ain't got a dime in your pocket until you obey the law. Damn the law. When you ain't got no money, there ain't no law. You dead. You broke. And there's something else. I had a woman when I was in, and she told me, she wrote me a letter and said, I started to send you $20, but I already sealed the envelope up. How she do that? So now we bring on Tony Lewis. Come on here, Tony.
What's up? What's up, everybody? What's how you doing? First of all, I just want to say it's an honor to be here, and thanks to all the organizers who put this together. So there's a couple of things I want to touch on, and I don't want to be redundant. There's a lot of great information that's being shared since I've been standing out here. I'm going to take my hat off, too. So, first of all, I want to speak to a statement put out by our Attorney General, Merrick Garland, in relation to the crack versus powder cocaine disparity, right? The Justice Department decided that they would now see powder cocaine and crack cocaine in the same way. So we knew back in the day it was 100-to-1 disparity. Fair Sentencing Act reduced that to 18-to-1 disparity. And now the Justice Department is going to look at crack and powder cocaine as the same thing, right? Which I thought was an incredible thing, right? But it will not be retroactive, right? Yeah. Which means that really is like, it's pondering, right? So for this administration, in terms of the Biden administration moving forward, you touch infrastructure, you touch computer chips, you touch gun control, you touch climate control, but you ran on righting the wrongs of the past, and your wrongs as it relates to mass incarceration, right? And the pardon of the people that got marijuana clemency thing and this is really becoming like a slap in the face of the advocates and the families of people that's been impacted by the war on drugs. And so my call, and I hope that you guys will support me in pushing for us to have a comprehensive clemency initiative rolled out by this administration that will help reunite American families like mine. You know what I'm saying? And then for Congress also, the Equal Act is what I think we know was we trying to get through Congress to codify this 1-to-1 ratio. So hopefully that doesn't die with this Congress. And the reason why we're here, though, everybody talking about jobs and jobs and jobs and jobs, in housing, right? If we don't change policy, right, where when men and women from our city pay their debt to society when they return, if they can have a clean slate, they can have the same opportunities as everybody else. We have one of the most competitive job markets in this country. We also have the most arduous incarceration process in this country. You do your time away, you also release away. People are not being trained. People are not being, the interventions and the vocational supports are not there. We don't have any autonomy over that because our people do their time in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, right? So they coming back not prepared, and they coming back to, and the DC government does an amazing job, right? We have to be honest about hiring returning citizens. But outside of the district government, our job market is completely adverse to returning citizens. We had an expungement and reconciling bill that's being contemplated right now in this council, in this building right here. And so it's not just about us giving jobs, it's about us codifying the rights of returning citizens in law, okay? So when we start talking about expungement and reconciling and people saying, we're going to start with nonviolent offenses. People in D.C. don't go to prison for nonviolent offenses. If you're a returning citizen, raise your hand right now. If you're a returning citizen, raise your hand. Now listen, if you only have raise your hand if you're a returning citizen, okay? As a matter of fact, I'm going to say this, I don't even like returning citizen more. If you're a citizen, right, if you are a citizen that's been incarcerated, raise your hand. And put your hand down if you only have a nonviolent offense. Put your hand down if you only have a nonviolent offense. In this town, people have violent offenses. So proposing a bill that would expunge nonviolent offenses leaves us in the exact same position that we're in right now. And so for anybody to say we got to take incremental steps or small steps, in town we wait for those steps to be taken, we die, we go back to prison, right? Mass incarceration in this city impacts the Native Black community like nothing else. It's akin to the violence we see. It's akin to the poor test scores we see. It's akin to the mental health, akin to the homelessness, right? So we must attack that. We need policy change that allows people to expunge and seal records so that they can have an opportunity at the type of employment and business opportunity that will allow them to take care of themselves and their families, right? People should be able to live and work where they want. In these cases, some people can't even live with family members based on something they may have done decades ago. And why we don't be in an uproar about this as a city is because this stuff stays relegated primarily in the Black community. 96% of the people, and I want to be more specific, Black people from Washington. So as a DC native, right? If you're a native, make some noise out here. And it's our families that got to keep having funerals. It's our families that got to keep chipping in. It's our families who have to keep on begging and pleading just for an opportunity, man, for us to survive and thrive while we watch everybody else do so well, right? I know I've been tired of it. I don't know how y'all feel. I've been tired of it. That's why every day I get up to attack this. But we got to be strategic in this. We got to call for things that are sustainable and long-lasting. Last thing I'm going to say before I take my seat, when we start talking about what's happening with our elders that's coming home. And I think a lot about that. My father, he ain't quite a super elder, but he turned 60 years old this year. He went to prison when he was 26, though, right? I think about when he come home, if he comes home, what that means, right? What'll be here in terms of supports for him. And there are a lot of supports for seniors in this city, though, right? So like the director of the Office of Agents should be here, right? Because there are opportunities and supports for seniors. Why wouldn't men and women citizens that have been formerly incarcerated not be given the same access to those opportunities? Some of the stuff that we calling for, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is here. We just got to tap into it. We got to familiarize ourselves with what's available, right, already, and we got to demand that returning citizens have access to that. And when we talk about our seniors, that's the kind of stuff I think about. Any senior program that's going on in this city, right, where it's support around housing, food insecurity, transportation, health care, any of that, because that exists. Why wouldn't returning citizens be eligible for that? And if somebody was to say because of something he did 50 years ago, then we got a bigger conversation to have. All right? So I thank you for the time, Roach, everybody involved. Let's keep pushing together, man. DC or nothing. Love y'all.
One of the reasons while we're doing this, is a guy named Kevin Flight, who did 20-some years. He was in Cumberland. He got released January 25th. And his family called and told the prison, let us escort him back because he could not travel by himself. They placed the man on the bus, and the family called back to the prison, and they said he's already en route. They ran to Union Station to meet their loved one. When he got to Union Station, he never got off the bus. They called the police and the FBI, and they checked everywhere the bus stopped. They never saw the video of this guy getting on or off the bus. This was in January 25th. And every other month, we talked about his case on our show, Crossroads on PFW. And would you believe the FBI couldn't find him for 8 months? They just found him 3 weeks ago. And guess how they found him? His mother got on the Metro bus, went to her seat, and she looked over and saw her son who was locked up for 25 years, balled up in a corner on the seat. She asked him where he'd been. He'd been staying at the shelter. He couldn't remember the address or the phone number to his mother. So when I hear cases about like this, like Levance Green, who did 50 years, came out in January and he died in June. No medication, no referral to a medical authority, and this guy died in 6 months after doing 50 years in prison. So when we hear cases like this, we have to bring everything together and say, hey, it's not right to treat our people like this. So to Levance Green, and I'd like to ask, is Kevin Flight's cousin or family here? Well, his family was supposed to send a representative down to speak on behalf of Kevin Flight. So what we'll do right now, so this is a guy, and this is unbelievable. I'm an ex-convict. I've been hustling my whole life, and I got tight with the police. 40 years ago, me and this guy got tight. He worked for the Metropolitan Police Department, and we're like this. I never thought I'd be buddies with the police. I was tight with the warden for a minute, you know, but he didn't let me last too long. So Ron Hampton is a former Metropolitan Police officer, but believe this, he works for us, he works with us, he's on our cause, and if he sees something wrong, it doesn't matter what uniform you have on. He's a real man and he's a friend. Ron Hampton.
I didn't come down to say anything. I just came down to support Roach and Tyrone and the guys that I've been working with all this time. Yes, I served, and that's where I got my up-and-coming too, because I watched what the war on drugs that Tony Lewis talked about, Junior. I watched the damage that the war on drugs did on the city, because I served on the department during that time, and I watched how it had robbed our community, not only from the brothers and sisters that were impacted by the mass incarceration that took place, but also the resources that it robbed out of our community, the way they mistreated and justice was not given or expected during those particular times. So it started me on the route that I took in terms of challenging the status quo, raising these issues, not only here in this city, but across the country, and representing brothers and sisters. I see Tyrone, I work with Tyrone all the time at the Lives of Concerned Men. We work with brothers and sisters there and continue to work with it. Tyrone and I talk about this all the time. We lived around the corner from each other. And this brother and I went to the same school together. That's right. So, believe me, I understand what all that means. And the system has not worked for us. And until we challenge and do the things that Tony Lewis talked about, we're not going to get enough done, because it's, just take for example, when we talk about reform in this country, I don't even like to use that word because I don't think reform really works. Even sometimes you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that's what we're talking about doing. Getting rid of things that don't work for us, because this should work for us the way it works for everyone else. But if you talk about, use this for example for the last year, and there are those who have said that the last year was a year of reform, the fact of the matter is that reform hasn't taken place in the last year. There are some states that have been fortunate enough to implement reform, but as a rule and generally at the federal level, there have been no reform. So we're at scratch one in terms of getting things done. But I'm going to be with these brothers. These are the brothers that I grew up with. I remember walking the footbridge, meeting Roach when he was working in the TV station. So these are guys of my family and a part of the work that we've been doing for years. And I'm just here to support them and continue to support them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. Now we got another celebrity. We got a young lady from Black Lives Matter, April Gargans. We call them and they support. We got folks calling in from all over the country. We got 2 calls from Boston. They wanted to know that they send their residents down to the rally when I sign their papers. I ain't signing nothing. Last time I signed something, I got 10 years, so I ain't signing nothing. You know what I mean? So we'll bring on April Gargans from Black Lives Matter.
I'm not going to say a lot, but first, thank you for having me this morning. Secondly, I'm here to talk to those of us who are not justice involved. Because we should be out here in droves, right? We should be following folks who are telling us what they need, right? I don't know about everybody else, but for me, all Black Lives Matter. So no matter how the system impacts us, we're black first. And the ways in which the prison system continues to tear down black folks is all a plan. Like, I think we need to go back to remembering that this is all a plan. If you go to prison, people have to go into a prison. They gotta feel it. They gotta feel it. How many people know that DC is still 98% of the folks that are in jail are black folks? Right, 98 there. Almost. They getting the brown folks in it. It's about as fast as they put us in there. And then you see that DYRS, people who are stopped and frisked, all of the people who are touched by the quote-unquote justice, or called the injustice system, are all black and almost 100% Native Washingtonians. And I know Rose said, we're not out here to protest the mayor, but I will say this. Systems and systems. Okay, look, I'm going to speak on behalf of myself. And I will say, I don't know where Councilmember Barbara White went, but that's who I call personally when I say, look, they told me it's McKee. Now I got about an hour before we're out there protesting. And he'll call, he'll say, you know, hey, look, I called them, they say they get it on. Looking online, now it's not back on. And those are the things that folks on the outside, we have a duty to do. We have a duty to remember that, I don't use returning citizens because as black folks, everything that we do every day is to ensure that we are not citizens. So if you go inside, and sorry y'all, I promise my dentist I will be wearing this stupid thing. I can't talk. So if you're inside, everything is taken from you, right? Again, I'm saying this to folks in DC who are on the outside of the belly of the beast, which my Uncle Al-Malik reminded me of. When you come back out, anytime you live in a system that will criminalize you and your children because of something they believe that you did, that will criminalize your family, your mother, your great-grandmother, by not allowing you to have a place to live, is a system that needs to be shut down. It needs to be shut down. Sometimes, and I don't believe in reform either, you just stop doing the thing that doesn't work. And in a system where people come home, and it's not home if you're living on the street, where you can't find a job because all of the things, when I first got here, they talk about ban the box. You can ban the box all that you want, but you walk in somewhere, you're black. You've been been justice involved, aka somebody decided that they were going to touch your life in that way, then you're not a citizen. Not that I'm fighting for us to be citizens, but I think we need to remember that we remain outside the system that continues to lock folks up. And we remain outside of the system that says they're trying to help folks who've been locked up. And so as we go into 2023, I want to see more people out here. These are the things that we need to fill the streets for. This should not be something that's kept under the rug, only talked about when people bring people here for it. We have to talk about this every day. If we're going to talk about housing, we have to talk about those who can't get housing the most. If we're going to talk about jobs, I'm going to say it, Amazon hiring a lot of people. But it's real prison-like. That we don't want scraps for folks, that the jobs that folks get are things that return people's dignity, that allow people to be human. And I say that to remember, and I'll just leave with this, that no one is disposable. We don't throw our folks away. Everybody is redeemable. And if you don't remember that, then every time you come to these things, and I heard a story about someone that I'm trying to do with talking to y'all about this. But no one is disposable. If I can't say anything else, no one is disposable. You are not anything that you've done. You are not. None of us are. Until we live in a place where that is the way, the reality in which we treat each other, the reality in which our government operates, right? That they can actually implement the things they say that they're going to do for us. They got to do it. Thank y'all.
Did you hear that powerful presentation in the spirit of, if we catch a charge or if we're locked up, then it's transition to our children, our family, take on the burden of what have occurred to us. And this is a system that is constantly punishing us, constantly punishing our children, constantly punishing our families. This is a system that must come to an end for us to be able to be human beings and to live as human beings should live. Next, I bring up to the podium a young group. Okay. We turning on the dime, y'all. So just stay with us. Next, I'm gonna bring up a sister by the name of Patrice, who's doing a lot of work in regards to transforming our community laws and the laws that have been in place for 100 years that we are still being punished for. This is the spirit of what's occurring in the nation's capital. We are being condemned for laws 100 years ago. We are being confronted. Come on, Chief. Thank you.
Hey. I appreciate the time. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I want to make sure everyone here understands that there's a vote tomorrow, final vote tomorrow on criminal record sealing and expungement. Everybody understand that? That everybody who's coming in here as council members telling you how much they care about these issues have an opportunity to show you that for real tomorrow, and that we can't afford to just let people say because a bill says it does criminal record sealing and expungement that they gave you something. We gotta look at the bill. The version of the bill that they want to pass doesn't allow everybody to file a motion to seal their record no matter how much time has passed. Some people would never be able to seal their record. It doesn't have real expungement, just like under current law, we don't have real expungement of criminal records. It allows a lot of people and a lot of agencies and a lot of institutions to have unfettered access. And it continues to have some of the longest waiting periods in the country for anyone to be able to be made whole again. 10 years here, 5 years there, 8 years there, right? There's no question that if tens of thousands of white people in this city were being sentenced to a life of poverty, some for non-convictions. Some people can't get their non-convictions off their records. That we would not tolerate this, and we would not be applauding our lawmakers for doing enough. No one would tolerate that. Please make sure you are reaching out to your council members today and tomorrow and letting them know what you expect of them. And we will be sure to tell you whether they did it or not.
We're bringing on some new spirits that's a part of this movement. Some new organizations, younger brothers that are doing their part. We have Black Voices for Change that's holding down sign for us. We are going to bring on Juju and Moses, two brothers that are basically making a major impact in our community. Moses is part of the water skeeter block, and brother Juju is behind. Go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Juju with Julian Johnson, and I represent One Flag. I just wanted to speak on, I'm a returning citizen as well. This is phenomenal out here. I just want to speak on being a returning citizen and being a single father, you know. I think we need some more programs, honestly, for single fathers that's turning citizens, you know. Me coming home, you know, it was virtually impossible to get housing, you know, at that time, me being a single dad. You know, most of the housing was available mainly for mental health and things like that. But you do have brothers out here that's raising families by themselves, you know. And even in going into me doing the work now, feeding people in transitional houses, there aren't any transitional houses for single fathers, not one in the city. So, you know, I think that's something that needs to be touched on. Everyone's doing a phenomenal job as far as the community leaders and things like that. And I think we just need to unite and motivate each other and commend each other on the job that we're doing. You know, it don't need to be no division. You know, but we all together. That's why we're called One Flag. Thank you, Brother Ty.
Hello, my name is Raymond Coates. I'm a returning citizen. I've been home now 22 years. Very grateful. But this is the best time I've ever seen out here. And the reason being is because you are here. I'm all right now. I'm not tripping no more. Because I know you. And you know me. And we know what we can do. So now that you are here, let's get the party started. Let's fix this. Let's fix this. We can do this, all of us, man. I know you guys, man. I know you, man. I know what you can do. And I know this is a good time to do it. We got a good government, we got good economy, we can make it happen, and we got good talent out here. So I look to see much, much progress in the coming years. Thank you.
All right, President, I want someone to record this for a very significant reason. Anybody? Anybody record this? Record this, I want it. All right, then listen to me. First and foremost, we have a house. I'll be getting with Kevin and Roach after this gathering. We have a house that's bought and paid for that we can earmark for returning home citizens and or their families who are here. The most important thing is having housing. And housing and to have our youth. Because our youth watch us and follow us. You don't have to say it. It's not in the talk, but it's in the walk. I encourage you, I know we're here in the District of Columbia, but there's a cross-jurisdictional mission that we ought to have with Montgomery County, with PG County. We ought to all come together, amen, because a brother would do time in one jurisdiction and end up in another jurisdiction. So we're all here, amen, together. Calvin Hawkins was with me there. Roach was with me there. Calvin was with me there. So we're out here in the community. And you know something? Nobody, we may be standing on the steps of the government But let me tell you something. Nobody is going to do this for us but us. Yeah. We are the ones. Amen. We are the ones. We have electricians. We have architects. Amen. We have carpenters. We have bakers and candlestick makers right here. Yes. Amen. We can build our own houses. Right here. We are not to think that we're going to beg the government to do anything for us. Amen. We have the resources here and now to do it. So I'm staying in support, amen, of my good brother here. I'm looking right at the poet. Amen. And let me say this to you. Let me say this to you, Roach. A crust of bread in a corner that we might sleep in. A minute to smile, yet an hour to weep in. A pint of joy to a peck of trouble. Never laughter, yet the moans come together. God bless you.
You know, it's amazing. 40 years ago, I was down the street at the courthouse. I've been in every courthouse they had down there. And I used to go in there mad and talking trash. And the judge said, "What kind of work do you do?" I said, "A little this and a little that." He said, "Where do you live?" "Oh, here and there." He said, "Take him out." I said, "Wait a minute, Your Honor, when I'm coming home." "Sooner or later." These judges talk slick in D.C. Now we'd like to bring on a guy named Eon Williams, one of the new breeds, the younger breeds that's coming along. They did a film called Lawton, Prison of Terror. Eon and his partner, Kareem Morad, and the film is getting all kinds of reviews all over the country. So if you haven't, look at the film called Lawton, Prison of Terror. Eon, Kareem, and a few other guys did this film. I'm telling you, the film really captures what it's like to be in Lawton. Eon Williams.
Thank you, Roach. So many people already spoke about all the problems that we encounter as people coming back home from prison, so I'm not going to try to compete with them with no eloquent speech. My speech is more so a thank you and how a lot of these things that everybody said that we need can help and does help people. For an example, I got a life sentence at 16, so I went away to prison and I came back home in 17 years. In the 17 years, I had to file all type of things to get out of jail and do this and do that, and I got out of jail. And when I got out of jail, a lot of these programs that's in effect right now, because we're speaking about how much stuff we don't have, we didn't have nothing when I came home. So when I first came home, I had to rely on my family, I had to rely on other things, and I tried to put a lot of things into practice that I had learned while I was incarcerated, such as, you know, reading about doing things pertaining to books. I wrote a lot of books when I was in prison. Like he said, we did the prison film, the documentary, Lawton, Prison of Terror, but I also have a book called Lawton Legends. Not to really push that, my thing is that I push writing, and I tried to survive off of writing when I first came home. And I tried to survive off of writing when I first came home. And, you know, it was, to me, no disrespect to any type of low-paying jobs, but to push my craft and to believe in that and try to live off of that, it was the same as, let's say, getting a job at Jiffy Lube. It was like an entry-level job, and it didn't present a lot of money. But the three things that did change life for me was education, employment, and housing. And when I didn't have those things, sad to say, I resorted back to street hustling. And street hustling got me back in trouble, and I ended up spending 10 years on parole because I couldn't get it right. If I would have just had housing, some education, and me get opportunity, I would have never resorted to street hustling. But I'm not the type of guy that's going to say, oh, before I be out here doing this and doing that, I go take 3 hots and a cot. 3 hots and a cot really not going to get it for me. So I just encourage and implore everybody out here to listen to these really moving and sentimental and emotional speeches to please just do something, to do one thing. For an example, the one thing that I do, and I couldn't do at first when I first came home, I left hundreds, if not thousands, of partners and comrades and buddies and local native Washingtonians in prison. And many of them called home for me to send a picture, money order, or help them to do this or do that. When I couldn't do it, I created this thing called DC Blacks. Y'all can check DC Blacks out on Instagram anywhere. But nevertheless, I've sent over $30,000 in books, money orders, and pictures and opportunities to some of our brothers that sent. That was the only thing that I could do. But I see a lot of people out here, young and old, that can do much more. And I think that if we all do one thing like that, we'll help the whole situation. I appreciate y'all.
coming to the close. We got a phone call that's scheduled to come in from Johnny Gill. Excuse me. In a few minutes, but the way things are going, we're going to have to wrap it up. It's too cold. We expected more people. But let me just say this. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. We'll be meeting with the mayor and her people to work out some issues that we discussed here today. We're going to keep our foot to the metal and keep the fire hot to make sure that the men and women who did these big bits or lower bits, that we get proper support when they come out. They're talking about re-entry. It is re-entry. They're re-entering back into the prison. There's a different interpretation of re-entry. Re-entry is for people coming out of prison, but now re-entry for us means going back to the jail. And as we said at the top of the show, the program, there's a new word that's just coming down. There's homicide, there's suicide, and there's genocide. Now there's prison side. Men and women are going back to prison to commit suicide because they can't make it out in the street. So we're saying this event we're having today needs to be spearheaded all over the country. We don't have to be a part of it. You met a lot of young speakers who are energetic, who are fiery, got good ideas, and they can make things happen. So we need to get behind them people and support it. I'm going to bring on our singer. This guy here can sing your shoes off. I was in church yesterday and it made me cry. So I had to go outside and wait till he come outside and give him a high five and say, man, you can really play, man. Come on up here, Turkey.
I want to say praise the Lord, but hallelujah. How you doing? Before I speak, I just want to say something about this parole and probation. It needs to be repaired. I've been out 2 years plus. I'm still under the jurisdiction of prison. I can't go visit my family. I can't visit my grandchildren or my adult children. They're in another city. But I'm thankful. I want to share with you Stan, a portion of Stan by Donnie McClurkin. What do you do when you've done all you can do? Seems like you can't make it through. And what do you say when your friends stay away? You're all alone. Tell me, what do you give when you've given your all? And seems like it's never enough. You just stand. When there's nothing left to do, you just stand. Watch the Lord see you through. Yes, after you've done all you can, you just stand. This is a verse we can all relate to. Tell me, how do you handle the guilt of your past? Tell me, how do you deal with the shame? And how can you smile when your smile has been broken and filled with pain? Tell me, what do you do when you've done all you can and it seems like it's never enough? You just stand. You just stand. You just stand. Hold on. Just be strong. God will step in. It won't be long, no. After you've done all you can, you just stand. And that's what we're doing today. All we can do, we just stand. So we're asking all of you, we want to thank everybody that came out and braved this cold weather. This is cold, but you came out and you committed enough to come out, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This is only beginning. We're ready to start. We're letting my brother Roach and Tyrone Parker and the rest of them know that when we get that table together with the government, let me know. I'm coming. We're not gonna let this go. Okay. But it's time to ready to do it now. So we're asking all the folks that came out today, thank you for coming out. We are not finished. We're going to get this commitment from the government. At least 3,000 affordable housing units in the District of Columbia in 2023. Guaranteed.
And on
top of that, we're asking for 3,000 vouchers, a couple thousand affordable houses. We want 5,000 jobs, and we can deliver. For all of y'all that are listening, tell Jeff Bezos, Walmart, Costco, Amazon. We can reduce the crime and the violence in Washington, D.C. and other cities if we have the right resources. We got the people who already done it. We already reduced the violence and the killings in Washington, but we don't have the money or the resources. So when this is over, we're going to let everybody let you know what the next meeting or the follow-up is. So we want to thank Shanice Patterson, all the committee, the team, my wife, Mertine, folks who worked on helping pull this together. We didn't get paid a dime. All I got was a glass of Kool-Aid, Tyrone. Good friendship and a glass of Kool-Aid is the pay that we get for doing what we're doing. Shanice Patterson been working with us, my wife Mertine, Kevin Petty, Tyrone Parker, and somebody else whose name I forgot. I don't know who that could be. Yeah, and Ron Lee and his crew. Everybody to help make this event possible, say thank you and we will keep you in the loop. When we meet with these folks to find out how we can resolve some of these issues, and if need be, we'll be back here next month. I don't care what it is. We're talking about saving some lives, and the lives we're talking about is us. Help us to help us. Help us to help us. We don't want a hand out. We just need a hand to get us up, because we got men and women that can do everything under the sun. We want a part of these contracts from these minority set-asides. We got returning citizens business. Most returning citizens can't get a job, start their own private business. And a lot of these private, non-profit businesses or profit-making businesses, these gentlemen got criminal records and they had to go on their own. So we're saying the money that's set aside for these major construction projects all over this city, we want a part of it. We don't want a part to be hired. We want to be at the table to get the contracts, set aside contracts. We got men and women that can run multi-million-dollar a year businesses. So Jeff Bezos, Walmart, Amazon, come to the table. And Wells Fargo, we can reduce the crime, we can reduce the violence if we got the resources to save some lives, because we got a cavalry. And all of you are our cavalry, but we just don't have the resources or the guns or the weapons. You're ready to come in to save lives, but we ain't got no horses. Give us the money to get the horses to get to the truth to make sure we can save some lives. So until the next time, think about God, she said, and all families are part of this too. We want to say thank you. We'll see you next time, and Merry Christmas.